Strengths of the program. Well, we did have a lot of hearing aids, supplied spare parts and equipment. We've been to Samoa regularly. We've checked the fittings. We have to rely on Senese to get their children back in again. We've trained the staff, and my colleagues, visiting audiologists, have trained the staff like Newall, and they can carry out repairs and replace hearing aids and so on, and they take ear mold impressions. The first director of Senese was quite outstanding, and she really set the thing up. And the strength that the big thing with her was liaison with the parents. That was absolutely, it looked to me to be a really good thing. Sometimes the children come in, they've lost their hearing aids, they've forgotten to bring it with them, and so on, which is a bad sign. There's expertise available on signing and so on, and Cristy is absolutely fluent in American Sign and can do some Auslan, and they use Auslan like British Sign Language, and it's they send interpreters into the schools, but there's sometimes a shortage of interpreters. The data logging facility on new hearing aids is good. That enables you to see whether, we had a child who sort of, a young lad who came in, his parents were very concerned. We checked the data logging, hadn't been wearing the hearing aids. So, it was good to have some feedback on that. And and some children have to travel an awful distance, and so the Senese were providing travelling expenses, which seemed pretty trivial, to us. But if your income's a couple of dollars a week or something, having a bus fare and a ferry fare would be a big deal. So some weaknesses. It relied on teams of Australian audiologists going. There are a few local funds. Some children came into the clinic without the parents, not interested. Impressions were sent sometimes to us without any information, and so we've gradually, got a form and some protocols there to get them to send the audiogram. And we have to remember too, fitting the hearing aids, which is what I'm interested in, is not the main, it's not the only thing. It has to go hand in hand with people who can teach the hearing impaired, okay? And that's a problem there as well. And we're trying to get some funds together to send someone from Next Sense over to run a course, and Cristy's been, well, you'll see in a minute, some other stuff, but experience that you've had in developed countries is often of limited benefit. I think the auditory verbal methodology is great, but you need to have a lot going before you can really hope to succeed with that. If they don't have hearing aids, or they're profoundly deaf, or they've been, they really should have a cochlear implant. And you have to remember that sometimes signing has been seen by our educational colleagues as a bad thing, because it stops you from acquiring oral, they feel it stops you from acquiring oral language. So, it's seen as an anathema. But it does have a place in developing countries. Also in China there were residential schools for the deaf, which was just like, in England in the 1940s. The children went there and stayed there, and the parents would say, we'll have the child back when they learn to speak now, and so on. And in Samoa there would be a school for handicapped children of all kinds, all together. Not residential, but it was not perhaps the ideal place for a deaf child. Okay, so audiology service is important. We need to have educational services improved, and if they could run a course for the various other countries in the area, like Tonga and Fiji, maybe the teachers could be trained. They could run a course because there would be enough takers, and the other thing is an Australian teacher did go to Fiji and run a course which was funded by DFAT, but the problem there was that her employer was insisting it was done on a cost-neutral basis, which meant it was expensive because it was the time she wasn't spending in Australia and so on, which was a pity. And Cristy's, she wrote a sign language dictionary in the Philippines, a simple one, and she's looking at doing it in Samoa. We did have a bit of a win. DFAT, because the Chinese are pouring money into these Pacific islands, the Australian government's feeling obliged to pour some money in as well, which is quite nice for us, isn't it? And they had a scholarship. We encouraged Sophia, the one who found that girl in the street, who had done an undergraduate degree in Australia and gone back to Samoa. Cristy suggested that we got her to apply. And I phoned up the DFAT lady in Samoa and so on and so on. Anyway, it's very competitive. There'd be 2,000 people were going for about 10 scholarships. Anyway, she got one, and she's at UQ doing the Masters in Audiology, and she'll go back. There is an audiologist who's in Samoa, but she works a couple of days in the clinic and then is in the Department of Health, so she's not actually actively involved in developing services and in a practical way. Writing stuff, but anyway, this was a win. We're hoping she'll go back and improve her service. Now, sometimes you go to countries like in Malaysia. I remember the ENT surgeons were all keen on universal neonatal hearing screening. This is about 25 years ago. The lady who was running the audiology program was extremely competent. A Muslim lady, all dressed up in the Muslim outfit, extremely competent, and she was arguing with them that they couldn't do it. It wasn't possible, and it was very hard to get through to her medical colleagues about why. Because if you say you set up a hospital, and if the children are born in hospitals, it's fairly easy. If they aren't, it's rather difficult. But if you set the scheme up and you got the equipment and you found a deaf baby, you couldn't say to the parents, "Oh look, sorry, there's no services, we can't fit a hearing aid." So you have to set all that stuff up. You have to have a place where the children would go if they fail screening, so they're tested again. You have to have expertise to fit babies. Which is a speciality of Hearing Australia, but not so good in many other countries. And people who, on the educational side, who can take a child like that. There's spectacular results in Australia if you do it. So it's very tempting, but it needs to be set up properly, and so on. So I think John's published some stuff on that. Now, I spent some time looking at this because I wondered how much it would cost. This might be regarded as a work of fiction. I just sort of spent about 20 minutes working out this, and it may be all wrong, but if you thought about how many babies are born every year in Samoa and the incidence of hearing loss, and then you multiply it by 6 because it's a developing country and nobody really knows how many deaf children there are, and there are all these conductive losses which I've ignored, and you think about how much it would cost. It looked to me, if the hearing aids were say $700 each, remember they're being bought by government at wholesale price, it might be less, it might be more. It looked like it would cost about $84,000 the first year to fit all the children. And then if you fitted them, there is a mistake on this actually, if you fitted them up to the age of 21 and then they had to fend for themselves, if the cost increased by 5% a year, then I took it for 21 years, which, you know, of course, I was thinking about children being discovered at birth, but they wouldn't be picked up until they were 5. The figures get a bit mind-boggling, but it looks like after 21 years, fitting all the children would cost about 220,000, and then you'd have to be fitting every 3 years. You'd have to fit the ones who'd been fitted before. It would finish up, well, I had, costing $1.6 million. But that's still not a lot, considering, you know, how much it would cost to run an ENT department in a hospital, and it could be considerably less. If anybody who has a gift for compound interest and mathematics would like to look at these figures, I would be very grateful. But I think it struck me that it wasn't as big a deal as you might think. It doesn't, of course, involve cochlear implants. It doesn't involve the cost of employing people and having a clinic and equipment. It was just the cost of hearing aids. Now, Brendan here at Hearing Matters asked me to sort of think about what's needed in the future. Well, we need the money from DFAT has enabled us to buy a lot of stuff, equipment and hearing aids and spare parts and so on. And we've had some help from other sources. The corporate sponsorship's been very good, and the Rotary clubs, you know, put money in and so on. We need equipment for screening. We need equipment for diagnostic work. The stuff they've got will need to be replaced and so on. We need equipment to fit and measure the hearing aids. We need sort of we need the hearing aids. We need bone conducted hearing aids. We need cochlear implants. Communication devices for the classroom. These companion mics, which are Bluetooth enabled, are quite good if there's only one kid in a class. If there's a stack of them, then you have to have an FM system, which is more expensive. We're hoping that companion mics, we're trialling them at the minute, and you know, I'm hoping that they prove to be okay. It looked quite spectacular when we fitted some on our last visit. But anyway, consumable items, spare parts, and the training of staff involved in screening, diagnostic work and maintenance. These are the sort of things that I guess you wanted me to focus on. Just a couple more slides. This is the new hospital. The previous hospital was, you know, like concrete blocks and corrugated iron. This is spectacular, with a loan from China. It's been built, air-conditioned, massive hospital. They didn't provide equipment. There were some issues, like in the ENT department, the air conditioning system broke down, and the chap who was there when the Chinese installed it had left. All the instructions were in Chinese, so we had to open the windows and buy fans but it's been fixed now. The Royal Australasian College of Surgeons got the funding from DFAT and you know, has asked for input. We've been advising them on what to get. The local ENT, or the local surgeon who has ENT skills, Dr. Sione, has been supported by a chap from UQ who's involved with the Royal Australasian College of Surgeons. Bernard Whitfeld, he got these booths shipped in and installed, which was fantastic because it's great to work in. And they've also bought lots of audiometers and so on. This is the group, and the ENT is over here. This is Dr. Sione. He's from Tonga, but he married a Samoan lady. And there are, this is Susie, who's Susie Marcos, who's an audiologist from Attune, who came with us, and you know, that was in the new hospital. And there's a final view of looking from one of the hotels out across to the other side of the harbour, and that's it. Thanks very much.